Why do successful men overlook stunning women and fall head over heels for others who seem ordinary? Take a deep breath, because what I'm about to reveal in the following words will shock you. There's a secret about the male psyche that 99% of women will never uncover. A secret so profound and powerful that once you know it, you'll never look at men the same way again. And I'm not the one saying this. It's Carl Jung, the greatest psychologist to have ever studied the human mind. The man who decoded the deepest mysteries of the male and female psyche. Jung spent decades analyzing why certain women exert a magnetic and irresistible pull on high-value men, while others, no matter how beautiful, intelligent, or successful they may be, are simply ignored. And do you know what he discovered? That everything you've been taught about attraction is wrong. Utterly wrong. That whole play hard to get narrative. Wrong. Always be feminine and delicate. Wrong. Win a man's heart through his stomach. Even more wrong. Be the perfect woman every mother would want as a daughter-in-law. For heaven's sake, wrong. While you waste years of your life attempting these failed tactics, there's a deep psychological truth that causes powerful, intelligent, and successful men to become completely obsessed with certain women. A truth that has been buried in the male unconscious for millennia. And today, you're finally going to discover what it is. Jung called it the principle of feminine individuation, and it's the secret weapon that separates the women men desire from those they simply tolerate. In the next few minutes, I'll show you exactly how to activate this powerful principle in your own life. How to awaken in the man you desire a psychological obsession so intense he can't get you out of his head. How to make him see you not just as another woman, but as the woman, the one he needs to conquer and protect at all costs. How to become the woman men of value abandon all other options for. Because here's the brutal truth no one has told you. Men don't fall for the most beautiful woman. They don't fall for the kindest. They don't even fall for the most perfect. They fall for the woman who awakens something primal and powerful in his unconscious. Something that most women don't even know exists. But you're about to find out. And once you discover it, your love life will never be the same again. So stop everything you're doing right now, because the next few minutes could be the most important of your romantic life. And if you leave before the end, you might forever forfeit the chance to become the kind of woman real men can't resist. Are you ready to uncover what Carl Jung knew about the male psyche that will change everything for you? Now I need to know, are you truly ready to activate the principle of feminine individuation that Jung discovered? Listen carefully. What I'm about to ask may seem simple, but it is actually a powerful psychological ritual known to only 1% of women. Jung discovered that there is a keyword which, when consciously declared, sends a direct signal to your unconscious. A word that programs your mind to fully receive and absorb this transformation. This word is shadow, but here's the secret that very few women know. When you type shadow in the comments right now, you are not merely participating in a video. You are making a declaration to your unconscious that you are ready to integrate the rejected aspects of yourself and become a complete, magnetic, and irresistible woman. You are activating the first stage of Jungian transformation. Jung called this the confrontation with the shadow. The exact moment your psyche understands that you no longer want to be just another woman desperate for male attention. You want to become the woman that high-value men cannot ignore. Type shadow in the comments now if you are ready to stop chasing men and make them come to you. Discover your authentic shadow power, which Jung identified as irresistible. Join the courageous women who are applying these psychological secrets in their relationships. Activate within you the energetic frequency that attracts high-value men like a magnet. But be warned, if you lack the courage to pen a single word in the comments, you likely lack the fortitude to implement the transformative concepts I'm about to impart. And that's perfectly fine. Not every woman is poised for this caliber of personal empowerment. But if you are, if you feel the moment has arrived to cease begging for scraps of male attention and instead become the woman men desperately seek to win over, type shadow right now. Allow this word to reverberate within your subconscious. Let it prime your mind to receive the secrets Jung spent decades uncovering about what truly ignites obsession in high-caliber men. And observe how many courageous women will join you in this metamorphosis. Together, You will forge a clandestine sisterhood of women who grasp a truth about male attraction that 99% of others will never fathom. Type shadow if you belong to the 1% ready for this personal revolution. Your new self awaits on the other side of this word. I will now reveal the first secret about the male psyche that will completely alter your perception of men. And I need you to prepare yourself, because this goes against everything you've been taught. You know that man you desire, the one who seems so confident, so in control, so put together. He's lying, not to you, to himself. Jung discovered something revolutionary. Every man carries within him what he termed the masculine persona, a psychological mask so convincing that even they believe it to be real. Behind this facade of strength, control, and independence lies something he will never admit. He is desperately seeking a woman who is psychologically complete. But here's the problem. 90% of women do the exact opposite of what the male psyche requires. They try to complete the man. They attempt to be the missing half. They try to heal his wounds, solve his problems, be his personal therapist. And do you know what happens in his unconscious when you do this? You activate what Jung called the negative anima, the part of him that rejects anything threatening his illusion of independence. He flees, even if he's in love with you, because his persona cannot admit he needs to be fixed by a woman. But there's something that does the opposite. Something that awakens a primal, potent obsession within the male psyche that he cannot resist. Jung called this the projection of the feminine self. It's when you become not the woman he needs, but the woman he himself wants to become. Confused? Let me explain. Deep within the male unconscious resides an archetypal image of the complete woman, one who has perfectly integrated her strength and vulnerability, her independence and femininity, her rationality and intuition. This is precisely what his shadow secretly longs to possess. When you embody this woman, when you stop trying to complete him and start being complete, something magical occurs in his mind. He no longer sees you as someone who wants something from him. He sees you as someone who has something he needs. And this, my dear, changes everything. Because now it's no longer you chasing after him. It's him desperately trying to figure out how to attain what you possess. But how exactly do you become this complete woman that the male psyche finds irresistible? Now comes the part that will shock you. And I need you to take a deep breath, because what I'm about to reveal completely shatters the romantic fantasy you've been sold since childhood. That man you want to win over, he doesn't want to be your Prince Charming. In fact, deep within his male psyche, he wants the opposite. Jung discovered something unsettling. The male unconscious is secretly drawn to women who embody what he calls the integrated anima, the perfect fusion of strength and femininity. But here's the secret no man will ever tell you. When he acts distant, cold, or difficult, when he doesn't reply to your messages for hours, when he seems indifferent to whether you're in his life or not, he's actually testing something specific in you. He's testing whether you're one of the 99% of women who will immediately activate their abandonment shadow, that desperate part that craves male validation to feel worthy. Or if you're that 1% who possesses what Jung termed the sovereign self. Do you know what most women do when he acts like this? They panic. They send message after message. They become anxious, insecure, clingy. They try to win him back by being even more accommodating, more available, more desperate. And do you know what happens in his mind when you do this? His persona thinks, another incomplete woman who needs me to feel valuable. And his shadow thinks something even worse. If she needs me this much, it's because she has no real worth. It's brutal, I know, but it's the psychological truth Jung uncovered. Men are unconsciously repelled by women who need them to feel complete, because it triggers in them what Jung called the savior complex, and deep down, they know they can't save anyone without losing themselves in the process. But what if you did the opposite? What if, when he acts distant, you simply continue living your full, fascinating life? What if, when he tests your need for validation, you demonstrate an internal wellspring of self-worth so profound that his opinion is merely interesting, not essential? Something very specific happens in his male psyche. His shadow, that part he hides even from himself, becomes desperately curious. Because you've just shattered the pattern followed by 99% of women. You didn't crumble without his attention. You do not need him to be complete. And this awakens something primitive and uncontrollable in him, the need to conquer what he cannot easily possess. Jung called this treasure projection when a man unconsciously projects onto a woman all the qualities he wishes to develop within himself. But how exactly do you demonstrate this sovereign self without completely pushing him away? How do you activate this psychological obsession without appearing cold or disinterested? We now arrive at the core of the Jungian secret. And what I'm about to unveil in the ensuing words is so potent, it will irrevocably transform how you engage with any man. There exists a specific psychological mechanism within the male psyche that Jung unearthed, which he termed the anima archetype. And once you grasp how to activate this archetype, men will be utterly incapable of dislodging you from their thoughts. But first, I must dismantle a falsehood that is likely undermining all your relationships, the fallacy that you must be easygoing to capture a man's attention. This is the antithesis of psychological truth. Do you comprehend what truly transpires in the male psyche when you are invariably accommodating, perpetually available, and unfailingly agreeable? You inadvertently activate what Jung designated as the maternal complex within him. And this is not the romantic maternal complex you might envision. Rather, it is the repository within his unconscious where he stores all women who are predictable, secure, devoid of enigma, women he esteems, yet never ardently desires. For the masculine shadow, that untamed, primal facet he conceals, is not captivated by what is readily attainable. It is consumed by that which is psychologically compelling. And do you know what proves psychologically compelling to a man? A woman who embodies what Jung termed integrated polarity. Allow me to elucidate. It is the capacity to be simultaneously formidable and vulnerable, autonomous and receptive, enigmatic and authentic, approachable and challenging. But here lies the revelation that eludes 99% of women. This polarity cannot be feigned. It cannot be a mere tactic you strategically deploy. It must emanate from a genuine psychological wellspring, from what Jung termed the feminine shadow work. Do you grasp its practical implication? It signifies the conscious integration of those aspects of yourself you were conditioned to repudiate. Your righteous anger, not petulance, but justifiable indignation. Your ambition, not neediness, but authentic drive. Your sexuality, not a craving for validation, but personal empowerment. Your intellect, not arrogance, but intellectual confidence. As you assimilate these shadow dimensions, a remarkable metamorphosis occurs. You attain psychological wholeness. And a psychologically complete woman acts as kryptonite to the male unconscious, because she harbors no need for him to serve as her savior, her therapist, or her sole source of validation. She simply is. And this awakens in his shadow a primal obsession. How do I conquer a woman who has already conquered herself? Do you know the answer? He doesn't conquer. He surrenders. Because he has finally found a woman who won't get lost in him, who won't crumble if he leaves, who won't turn him into the center of her universe. A woman who has a universe of her own. And high-value men are secretly addicted to women who possess their own universes. But how exactly do you construct this own universe in a way that sparks obsession, not indifference? How do you balance independence with receptivity? How do you demonstrate completeness without appearing unattainable? I will now reveal the specific technique that causes high-value men to become utterly obsessed. And I must warn you, this goes against all the relationship advice you've ever received. The technique is called shadow mirroring, and here's how it works. Instead of striving to be the perfect woman he needs, you become a mirror of the qualities he wishes to develop within himself. Let me explain with a real-world example. Suppose he's a highly controlled businessman, always rational, always in charge. What would most women do? They'd try to be the perfect partner, understanding, supportive, always agreeing with him. A fatal mistake, because this awakens nothing in his shadow. Do you know what truly happens in his psyche when you do this? He thinks, she's nice but predictable. And the male unconscious doesn't fall for the predictable. It becomes obsessed with what represents his own psychological wholeness. So, instead of being the understanding partner, you'd do the opposite. You would embody the qualities his shadow secretly yearns to develop. If he lives by logic, you would integrate powerful intuition into your decisions. If he controls everything, you would flow with life confidently and gracefully. If he represses emotions, you would express them authentically and without drama, not as someone out of control, but as someone who has mastered the art of being complete. And do you know what happens in his mind when you do this? something Jung called archetypal recognition. His shadow recognizes in you the qualities he unconsciously knows he needs to develop to become a complete man. And this sparks an uncontrollable psychological obsession within him. Because you are no longer just a woman he can conquer. You become the living embodiment of the person he wishes to become. But here's the secret that sets this technique apart from all others. You cannot fake these qualities. You cannot act intuitive if you haven't cultivated your intuition. You cannot pretend to be fluid if you're still desperate for control. This is why 99% of women fail. They attempt to apply techniques without doing the real inner work. The true magic happens when you genuinely integrate these aspects within yourself. When you truly become psychologically whole. And do you know the most powerful side effect of this? You stop needing his validation. You stop panicking when he doesn't respond to messages. You stop interpreting his every behavior as a reflection of your worth. Because you have developed such a solid internal source of completeness that any man's opinion becomes interesting, not necessary. And that is what makes men obsessive. It's not games. It's not technique. It's genuine psychological evolution. When he realizes you have such a rich life, such a fascinating inner world, such authentic completeness that you literally do not need him, he develops a primal compulsion to be a part of that world. Jung called this attraction to the superior self. When we recognize in another person the evolved version of ourselves we aspire to become. But how exactly do you cultivate this psychological completeness? How do you integrate these qualities authentically, not performatively? How do you become the woman men of substance can't forget? We've reached a moment of truth. What I'm about to reveal is the exact process that transforms you into the woman high-value men can't forget. Jung called this the feminine magnum opus, the great work of the psychologically complete woman. And once you complete this work, you'll never need to hunt for a man again. They will gravitate toward you as if magnetically drawn by a force they can't rationally explain. But I must warn you, this process demands courage. Because you'll have to confront aspects of yourself you've spent a lifetime avoiding. The first step in this transformation is brutal, yet necessary. You must stop running from your feminine shadow. You know all those aspects of yourself you were taught to hide? Your anger when disrespected, your genuine ambition, your potent sexuality, your sharp intelligence, your need for personal space. Jung discovered that magnetic women don't suppress these aspects, they consciously embrace them. Because when you reject parts of yourself, you unconsciously attract men who also reject those qualities. And those men will never truly respect you. But when you integrate all facets of your femininity, even the inconvenient ones, something powerful happens. You stop attracting emotionally immature men who want a domesticated version of a woman. You begin to attract psychologically evolved men who can handle a complete woman. And here comes the most life-altering part. You must build what Jung called the inner kingdom, a life so rich, so fascinating, so fulfilling that the presence of any man is a bonus, not a necessity. This means developing genuine passions that excite you even when you're alone, pursuing goals that make your eyes sparkle, cultivating deep friendships that nourish your soul. Because men sense this energetically. They perceive when a woman possesses her own universe. And this awakens in them a primal curiosity. How do I become a part of this fascinating universe? But the real magic occurs when you master what Jung termed conscious polarity. Here's the secret that makes men become obsessed. You learn to be simultaneously strong and receptive. Not one or the other, both at the same time. You can voice your opinion with conviction and genuinely listen to what he has to say. You can maintain your boundaries and show vulnerability when appropriate. You can be independent and allow him to court you. This is the anima dance that Jung identified as irresistible to the male unconscious. Because you are neither the fragile princess nor the masculinized woman, you are the perfect synthesis, a woman who has fully integrated her strength and her femininity. And this confounds and fascinates men in a way they can't rationally explain. Then the most powerful transformation of all occurs. You stop needing male approval and begin to consciously choose whom to share your energy with. And this energetic shift is like kryptonite to high-value men. Because they spend their entire lives being pursued by women who need them, but they rarely encounter a woman who consciously chooses them, without neediness, without desperation, without the imperative to be completed by them. Jung said that such a woman awakens in a man the rare treasure complex, the compulsion to protect and conquer something truly valuable. And when you complete this inner journey, you automatically become what Jung termed the archetypal woman. Not perfect, not flawless, but psychologically complete. And a psychologically complete woman is like a magnet for men who are also seeking completeness. She doesn't attract broken men who want to be fixed. She attracts evolved men who recognize in her a psychological equal. And these men don't flee when the relationship becomes serious. They surrender completely because they have finally found a woman who won't lose herself in them, who won't make them the center of her universe, who won't collapse if they need space. A woman who possesses such a solid self that she can love without losing herself. And this, my dear, is what transforms casual relationships into enduring obsessions. It's not luck. It's not looks. It's not timing. It's conscious psychological evolution. And now you have the exact roadmap to get there. The only question remaining is, do you have the courage to become the woman real men can't forget?